Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Saturday, March the 27th. We got a 9-game slate for Saturday. We're going to break this slate down team by team like we always do, go through each game, talk about each team. For today's 9-game slate, I'll give you guys my early thoughts, what does stand out to me looking at this slate on Friday night. But before we do get started with the breakdown, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. If you are new to the channel here, be sure to click that subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do live stream. Now, unfortunately, I will not be home this afternoon, so I will not be able to live stream for tonight's slate. I wasn't able to live stream Friday either. I had a funeral to attend. But hopefully Sunday I might go live. It's to be determined. Since I haven't been able to stream these last few days, I do want to try and go live maybe on Sunday if possible. But yeah, guys, we'll just break down the slate, talk about each game, talk about each team, what does stand out to me. So we'll go ahead and start off with the Detroit and Washington game. On the Detroit side, there are some guys I have some interest in from the Pistons today just because it is such a good matchup against Washington. We know the Wizards, they play really, really fast. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Really just getting a matchup against Washington, it's, probably one of the best matchups you can get outside of like the Kings. So Jeremy Grant at the top, I actually do have a good amount of interest in today. I had a lot of interest in Grant on Friday night slate. I actually did play Grant in my Yahoo lineup. I didn't play him on DK, but I did play him on Yahoo. He didn't really have that good of a game, just in a good matchup against Brooklyn. It was kind of disappointing to see Grant, not have as good of a game as a good of a game as he did before against, in his game before against the Pacers. Also, he's had some good games this year against Brooklyn. It was surprising to see him struggle as much as he did Friday night. Only had 31 DK points in 37 minutes, but Grant gets another good matchup today. He's still affordable at 7,600. This isn't a guy that I've really played much this year, but I do like him quite a bit here in this matchup against the Wizards. We know he's going to get a ton of usage. Playing with this Pistons team that just doesn't have a ton of offensive firepower. The ball's going to be in Jeremy Grant's hands a lot. He does lead this team in usage this year, so I do like Jeremy Grant quite a bit. He's definitely my favorite play from the Pistons. I like him on Yahoo as well. I thought he was a little bit too cheap on Yahoo Friday night. He's still only $29 today. Still does feel a little bit too cheap on Yahoo again, especially for this really good matchup against Washington. Mason Plumley, you could maybe go to in tournaments. He did benefit Friday night with Isaiah Stewart getting ejected. He wound up playing 31 minutes. Normally we don't get 31 minutes from Plumley. We normally get like 25 to 28 minutes. You could go to Plumley, but there's other centers I prefer over him. Robert Williams I liked a lot Friday night. He treated me well. I think I'm going to go right back to him today. So I'd probably prefer him over a guy like Plumley. I think the other appealing guy from Detroit could maybe be the guards. Dennis Smith Jr., he was questionable heading into Friday night. He ultimately wound up being out. He did not play. They went with the weird starting lineup. They actually started Rodney McGruder at point guard alongside Wayne Ellington, and then they went with Bay, Grant, and Plumlee. I was surprised they didn't start like Frank Jackson or Saban Lee. They could run out the same starting lineup that they did Friday night if Smith Jr. is out again, but maybe they change it up. I don't think like Ellington didn't play a ton of minutes. He only played 22 minutes. McGruder didn't really play much either, even though he started. He only played 16 minutes. Detroit did run a super, super deep rotation on Friday. They played literally like 13 guys. I think like everyone got time on the floor. I don't feel insanely confident in anyone on this team outside of Jeremy Grant, but I think, taking a shot on maybe like a Frank Jackson or Saban Lee, if Dennis Smith Jr. were to get ruled out again, I think you could go to one of those two guys, but I think it's definitely just Jeremy Grant's the guy I'm the most confident in from Detroit, and these other guys like Lee, Jackson are just, lower owned plays, tournament flyers, unless they were to, be announced as starting. Like if Dennis Smith Jr. is out again and they start Frank Jackson today or they start Saban Lee, I'd be a lot more confident in those guys. But, we'll have to wait and see what they do with their starting lineup if they do run out the same starting lineup that they did Friday night. But on the Wizards side, looking at Washington, we do have a big injury here to watch. Bradley Beal is currently questionable. This is obviously a very impactful injury. If Bradley Beal does wind up sitting today, I think Russell Westbrook is, by far the top stud on the slate. Westbrook is definitely going to be someone that I want to try and build around if Beal winds up sitting. Now, if Beal plays, I feel like Westbrook, he's still viable, obviously, but he definitely would not be a priority like he would if Beal were to sit. So I would say that if Beal plays, I think Westbrook's viable, Beal's viable if he plays, but I don't see a ton that really stands out from Washington. But if we do get word that Beal sits, love Russell Westbrook if Beal is out. And then you can maybe go to a guy like Raul Neto. We'd have to wait and see what they were to do with the starting lineup. If like Neto were to start, he'd be viable at 3,600. He'd probably get more minutes anyway, but I definitely would like him a little bit more if he does wind up starting. So just keep an eye on the status of Beal. It's really just a wait and see right now with him, and what I want to do with these Washington guys. But moving on to the next game, the Knicks and the Bucks. So another big injury here, Julius Randle. He's not on the, so he is on the injury report, but he's probable, so he is expected to play. I'm pretty sure he got injured late in their last game against Washington, but doesn't seem like it's really anything major. He's probable, so I'm assuming Randle plays. At 10,200 in I would say a good matchup against Milwaukee. Like Milwaukee, they've been playing fast this year. They've always been a pretty fast-paced team. They're not, an elite defensive team. Definitely have some interest in Randle. Now, I don't know if he's going to be someone I really prioritize on the slate at 10,200. There's just other studs I'd rather play. Like if Beal winds up out, I would much rather play Russell Westbrook. But, you could definitely go to Randle. RJ Barrett had a huge game last game against Washington. Really good matchup there. He put up 51 DK points in 42 minutes. The minutes have been through the roof for Barrett. He's playing like 40 minutes a game right now. That makes him viable alone. Like getting a guy that's going to play 40 minutes, like that's just he's automatically going to be in play for me. Barrett at 7K, I don't love at this price tag, but yeah, if he's going to keep getting these massive minutes, I think he's viable at 7K. Is he a top option for me? No, but someone I do have some interest in. But there are a lot of injuries to watch here. So right now, Derrick Rose, he's currently listed as questionable. He was out for their last game for conditioning. I assume he probably plays here. He probably makes his return, but we'll have to wait and see. Elfrid Payton is probable, though. He's expected to play. Reggie Bullock is currently questionable. He was out there last game. Nerlens Noel was also out there last game. He's questionable as well. So we'll need to watch the statuses of Rose, Bullock, and Noel. I would say if those three guys are out, I don't think it really impacts too much. I think that that's gonna if Bullock winds up out, that's gonna solidify RJ Barrett for 40 plus minutes. That's probably gonna give Alec Burks a ton of minutes as well. Alec Burks did play 34 minutes last game with Bullock out. Had 37 DK points. At 6K, like I'd be fine going to Alec Burks today if Bullock winds up out again. I'm pretty sure Burks started last game, or I think they actually started Ntilikina, but Ntilikina didn't play much at all. He played 15 minutes. It was Burks who got a lot of Bullock's minutes went to Alec Burks. I'd assume that would be the case again if Bullock were to sit. So you can maybe go there. Mitchell Robinson actually did move back to the starting lineup last game. He only played 21 minutes. He was really productive in that time, but I don't think I can go to Mitchell Robinson today. I think he's just more of a lower-owned GPP option. The minutes, I think, are going to fluctuate from game to game. Like, they still have Taj Gibson. They'll give minutes to off the bench. They can play, lineups with Julius Randle at the 5. I don't see really any top plays from New York, from the Knicks today, but there's definitely guys that, should be low-owned that are viable in tournaments, like Julius Randle, like RJ Barrett. If Bullock sits, I have some interest in Burks, maybe Mitchell Robinson, but no, I don't think there's any core plays from the Knicks for me. And I think the same could be said for Milwaukee. This is a back-to-back for the Bucks, so just keep an eye on that. I'd assume everyone would be good to go here. Giannis, he had another bad game Friday night against Boston. He struggled again against the Celtics. Only had 33 DK points in a blowout loss. Only played 27 minutes. Not really a good matchup here against the Knicks. The Knicks, they've been good defensively this year. They do play really slow. I still think Giannis, though, he's a top stud option basically every night for me. I think that is the case once again. Like, I would definitely rather play Giannis over Randle. But if Beal winds up out, then I think I would rather have Westbrook over Giannis. Right now, I'll say that Giannis is probably my favorite stud above 10K, but if Beal gets ruled out, then that's going to become Westbrook. Giannis is really the only guy I have interest in, though, from the Bucks. I don't see too much else I like on this team. Bobby Portis and PJ Tucker were out Friday night. I don't think that really impacts too much if they're out again. Maybe you see more secure minutes for Brook Lopez, but he only played 19 minutes. Just don't think we really need to go to anyone on Milwaukee outside of Giannis. I don't see much interest in Chris Middleton or Drew or really any of these other guys. So moving on to the next game, Houston and Minnesota. So these two teams did play on Friday night. It's a back-to-back, but they're not having to travel or anything. I'd assume everyone's going to be good to go here, but keep an eye on the status of John Wall. He has rested on back-to-backs at times this season, but lately he's been playing on back-to-backs. So I assume John Wall is going to be good to go, and I had a lot of interest in Wall on Friday's slate just because with Victor Oladipo no longer on the team and Eric Gordon's still injured, this is clearly John Wall's team. John Wall and Christian Wood are going to be the two guys that dominate the usage for Houston, just rest of season. I like John Wall a lot once again. I liked him in this matchup on Friday night. Minnesota plays fast. They're not that good defensively. Wall had a terrible shooting game. He shot god-awful from the field. 24% from the field, 14% from 3, and he still had 46 Draftkings points. The upside is just massive for John Wall. His assist rate is through the roof when you take Oladipo off the floor. He is clearly going to be the guy that has the ball in his hands, basically all the time. He's basically a lock for a points, assist, double-double. If he actually knocks down some shots, like you could definitely get a massive 55, 60-point game from John Wall. He is still a top play for me. He's a guy that I like a lot once again, assuming he's good to go. Just keep an eye on that. It's a back-to-back, but I assume Wall will play. I like Wall a lot on both sides. I think he is a little bit too cheap here. With Oladipo no longer on the team, we're just going to continue to see the price tag rise on John Wall. He's going to get up to like the 9K range. He's probably going to be above 9K pretty soon because I expect a lot of big games from him, just because he's going to dominate the usage on this team. But Christian Wood, you could also look to at 8,500. I think there's some other centers I prefer today that are cheaper, but we know we're going to get 36, 38 minutes from Christian Wood if this game stays close. I expect him and Wall to be the two guys just, dominating the usage. You could go to Christian Wood. He's not my favorite play, but still viable at 8,500. Now, Kevin Porter, he was out Friday. I don't think, if he returns, I don't think that impacts too much, but that just makes me feel better about, some of those other guys like Wall. I expect the minutes to be massive for John Wall, especially if Porter sits. If Porter plays, maybe you could go to Porter, but he's coming back from injury. He's had his minutes limited, like these last few games. He's going to be a risky option even if he does play just because he could get re-injured. I'm pretty sure that's what happened in that Detroit game. Like he came back from injury and then he got re-injured or something, or maybe it was the OKC game. I honestly can't remember, but I really don't like a ton on Houston outside of John Wall. I think John Wall is clearly the top play from Houston today. These other guys I think are just secondary options. Daniel House was out Friday, and I believe he's going to be out again for personal reasons. So with Daniel House out Friday, we actually did see Ben McLemore draw the start. He's only 3,200. He did have a really good game in the starting lineup. Now, he shot the ball pretty well, but we got 36 minutes from Ben McLemore. He had 33 DK points, like at 3,200. I think we can go right back to Ben McLemore. I do want to mention him just because I think he is another really good value from Houston. He's the other guy that I'd be considering outside of John Wall. Definitely John Wall, my favorite play from Houston, but I actually do like Ben McLemore quite a bit, assuming that he does start again. Definitely got to watch the stats of Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley, though. They got traded, so there's a chance they could maybe play today. They didn't play Friday. I don't know if they're going to play today. Right here, it just says that his physical is still pending, but he's currently with the team, so I don't know if that really impacts too much, even if Olynyk and Bradley play. Yeah, I think definitely on Houston, John Wall, my favorite option. Ben McLemore, if he starts again, is a really good value as well, and maybe Christian Wood you could go to, but we can go ahead and move on to the Minnesota side. On Minnesota, there really isn't much I like from the Timberwolves today. It looks like Malik Beasley is able to return. It says right here that he will be ready to go to play come Saturday, so it looks like Malik Beasley is going to be back. That really takes me off of Anthony Edwards. He's too expensive now. I have no interest in him with Malik Beasley back. Rubio, I don't really have that much interest in at his price either. There's just other guys I prefer priced around him. There's other guards I like today. Towns you could go to in tournaments. He did have a pretty good game against Houston when they played Friday night. 64 Draftkings points in 35 minutes. If I was going to play anyone on Minnesota today, it would be Karl-Anthony Towns. He's really the only guy that I have interest in. Like Juancho Hernan-Gomez had a good game off the bench, but I really don't want to chase that. He's just been so up and down this year, so risky that, I don't think I need to go there. So for Minnesota, it's Towns and not much else for me. So next game, Chicago and San Antonio. So on the Bulls side, Nikola Vucevic, I believe, is able to make his debut. Right here it says that Vucevic will play Saturday against the Spurs. So Vuce is going to play today. It's going to be interesting to see how he meshes with this Bulls team, like what his role is, if he's going to be, a usage monster like he was in Orlando. I'd assume he will be, but, playing alongside Zach LaVine, he may not get as much usage as we may think. I think it's a wait and see for me with Vuce. I don't know if I want to pay $9,500 for him. First game with his new team. Like, I'd probably would rather get to Karl-Anthony Towns over Vuce. We'll note, though, that Zach LaVine is questionable, so this is actually a really big injury. I'm pretty sure that LaVine has not missed a game yet this season. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure LaVine's played every game this year. If he were to sit, I'd assume that like Kobe White would maybe move into the starting lineup, or they could play Garrett Temple there, or Denzel Valentine. Like one of those guys I'd assume would start. Whichever guy would have start for LaVine if he were to be ruled out. I would like a good amount as a value. I would definitely have a lot more interest in Satoransky as well. He would get a big boost if LaVine were to sit. So the guards really, White, Satoransky, and then, if Valentine starts, like he'd be a really good play if LaVine sits. If LaVine plays, I really don't like too much from Chicago today. Don't see much from this Bulls team that really stands out. If LaVine's good to go, just not a team I have much interest in at all. Now on the Spurs side, there isn't too much I really like here either. Dejounte Murray at 7,200 is probably my favorite play from San Antonio. Either him or Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl for 5,800 I do have a little bit of interest in, just because this is a really good matchup against the Bulls. The Bulls have been a team that has been bad defensively against bigs this year. I assume that'll change though. They do have Vucevic now. I don't really want to say it's as good of a matchup as it has been in the past now that they do have Vooch. So yeah, like Jakob Poeltl I really don't like that much either. Murray's fine, but there's other guards I think I'd prefer over him. It is a good matchup, though. I expect this Bulls team to continue to be a pretty fast-paced team. I would say that if I was going to play anyone from San Antonio today, I think it would be Dejounte Murray or DeRozan, one of those two. But I don't know if there's really any top plays from this game. This game overall, I don't have that much interest in. So moving on to the next one, Memphis and Utah. These two teams did play Friday night. I literally had zero interest in this game on Friday night slate. And I really think that's the case once again. Joe Val and Ja Morant you could go to in tournaments. I think Ja Morant did have a really big game Friday night. Or I don't know if the game log's updated yet. Let me check Yahoo real quick. So Morant had, let's see, close that out. Morant had, he had 52 fantasy points in 37 minutes. So Ja had a huge game against Utah Friday night. I mean, he's affordable. He's 7,200. The matchup's not great. I still don't love this matchup for Ja, but I guess you could go to him in tournaments. J-Val, I think there's just other centers I prefer. I'm not sure what J-Val did Friday night. He had, 46 fantasy points in 28 minutes. So both Ja and J-Val did have really good games. I guess they're fine tournament plays, but I still don't really feel like I'm going to be building around either one today. I just don't like this game much at all. On the Utah side, we will need to watch the status of Mike Conley. Conley has been resting on back-to-backs this year. It's to be determined if he plays today. We don't have an update yet on Conley. I would say that if Conley plays, I don't really have interest in anyone on Utah, excuse me. If Conley's out, though, I don't know if that really impacts too much, just because, Donovan Mitchell's already expensive. He's $9K. Joe Ingles has been priced up to $5,800. Jordan Clarkson, though, $5,300. If Conley winds up out, I think Jordan Clarkson, definitely my favorite play from Utah. He's been struggling lately, but if Conley were to sit, that would definitely be a big boost for Clarkson. We'd see his minutes increase. He should get more usage off the bench. Definitely would have interest in him. He would be my favorite play from Utah if Conley winds up out. But if Conley plays here, I don't really like anyone from Utah. This game probably just going to be a fade for me once again. Unless we get some news that changes some things, I don't see too much I like from Memphis and Utah. So looking at the next game, Dallas and New Orleans. Dallas, we had some huge injuries, or a huge injury come out Friday afternoon. Luka, he was doubtful Friday. We got that word in the afternoon. Then he ultimately wound up being out. So Luka did not play Friday night. This is a back-to-back. This is a back-to-back where they're going to have to travel. They played the Pacers Friday, and then they're traveling to New Orleans to play the Pelicans today. I'm pretty sure I saw that they said that he was hopeful to play Saturday. For now, I'm just going to assume that Luka is in. But if Luka winds up out again, the two guys I mainly have interest in are Kristaps Porzingis and Jalen Brunson. Brunson, was not great Friday night. He really struggled, but Porzingis had a huge game without Luka. He finished with 62 Draftkings points in 38 minutes. I would love Porzingis once again. It is a back-to-back, but I'm pretty sure Porzingis has been playing on back-to-backs this year. He hasn't been resting. So, assuming Porzingis is good to go, I do like him a lot here if Luka sits. Now, if Luka plays, I think the one guy I would be interested in from Dallas would be Luka, just because it is a really good matchup against the Pelicans. Should be a pretty fast-paced game. Should be a high-scoring game overall. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see here with Luka. If he plays, I have a good amount of interest in him. I would definitely rank him up there with Giannis and Westbrook. Probably would put him ahead of Giannis overall, just because it's a better matchup for Luka. But if Luka winds up out, then love Porzingis, love Jalen Brunson. Those will be two guys I'll be going right back to if Luka sits. Now on the Pelican side, though, we do know that Lonzo Ball is going to be out once again for this game. I believe he's going to be out for this game, or he was out Friday night. He's expected to be out again for Saturday. So with Lonzo out, I think the clear beneficiary, continues to be Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He played a ton of minutes, 39 minutes against Denver Friday night. The game before that, 34 minutes, 31 minutes against Denver. He's played at least 30 minutes in 3 straight games with Lonzo out, and he's been productive. 32, 32, and 36 DraftKings points. Continues to be underpriced. His price went up to $5,300, but that still is too cheap for NAW if he's going to be playing, upwards of 36, 38 minutes while Lonzo remains out. So I think NAW is a top play today. He's a guy that I'm going to be looking to on both sides. Love him on Yahoo as well. Way too cheap over there. Only $14 at point guard. I think he is clearly one of the best values today, assuming that Lonzo does remain out, which looks like it's going to be the case. Zion and Brandon Ingram, though, you could definitely go to as well. Zion had a huge game Friday night against Denver. 65 Draftkings points in 39 minutes. We know Zion has that kind of upside in him. I do have some interest in him. I think I would rather play him over Brandon Ingram. But I'm really probably not going to anyone else on New Orleans. I will mention Eric Bledsoe, just because he did finally have a really good game Friday night without Lonzo. Had 39 DK points in 34 minutes. I think Bledsoe does get a bump with Lonzo off the floor. If you want to go to him, I think in tournaments he does make a lot of sense. He was super, super low owned. He was like 2% owned Friday night. He'll probably get a little bit more ownership today just because he had a really good game. But I think, the upside's a lot higher for Bledsoe with Lonzo out just because he's going to get more ball handling opportunity. I assume they'll split the minute or they'll stagger the minutes of him and NAW. So you'll have one of those two guys on the floor at all times. Bledsoe, someone you can look to. Top plays, though, from New Orleans. For sure, NAW number 1. I would say Zion number 2. And then I do actually like Eric Bledsoe in tournaments as a lower-owned option for 4,400. He's definitely cheap today, someone you could look to. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game, Boston and OKC. So in Boston, this is a back-to-back for the Celtics, which is definitely important to note because Kemba Walker, he's been resting on basically all their back-to-backs this year. I'm pretty sure he has yet to play on a back-to-back this season. So keep an eye on this. I'm pretty confident that Kemba is going to be out today. One thing worth noting is that their game on Friday night against Milwaukee was a blowout, but Kemba actually did play in the blowout. He was the only starter that was on the floor still. So basically they gave him, big, even in the blowout, he still played 31 minutes, whereas Tatum, how much did Tatum play? Tatum played 33, so I guess, he still played a good amount. Jaylen Brown played 30. But I remember I was watching the game and I was seeing Kemba was out there with all the bench guys. He was still playing even in the blowout. So that makes me assume Kemba's going to sit here. If Kemba is out, we know who's going to benefit. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, not Robert Williams, but Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart. Those are the three guys that are going to benefit if Kemba winds up out. And yeah, I'm assuming Kemba's out. So Jason Tatum, I think, is the first guy that I'm going to be looking to. 8,400. It's definitely too cheap if Kemba sits. He is a guy that I do like quite a bit on both sides. He looks really good on Yahoo as well. Very affordable over there, coming in at $39. He's the same price as Zion, so you could really flip a coin between the two. I think both are very good options today, but assuming Kemba sits, I think I'm going to give the edge to Jason Tatum. Definitely like Tatum here. Should get more usage with Kemba off the floor if he does wind up resting. He gets a nice bump. Jaylen Brown gets a nice bump as well. Tatum and Brown are closely priced, so that with them being closely priced, I would rather prefer Tatum just because he's, the slightly more productive player. Marcus Smart, though, as well, I'd assume he would start at point guard. He's been more productive this year with Kemba off the floor. He did have a really good game Friday night. He's been getting big minutes lately. Even at 6,200, I have some interest in Marcus Smart. Evan Fournier, he is questionable right now to make his debut. He did not play Friday. He was traded to the Celtics. There's a chance he could maybe play today. I would say that if he plays, I don't know if that really impacts too much because they've already said that he's going to come off the bench. I think he's going to be their sixth man, so I don't think he's going to really take minutes away from any of the starters, but it would definitely, in terms of I think the guys that would take the biggest hit would be Peyton Pritchard, Jeff Teague. I think those guys would lose a good amount of minutes with Fournier if he plays. I don't think that's really going to take minutes away from Tatum, Brown, or Marcus Smart. But the guy that I really want to talk about, we mentioned him in Friday's video, Robert Williams. I went into Friday's slate assuming that Williams was going to start since, Tristan Thompson was out again, Daniel Tice no longer on the team, and he did start. And Robert Williams, as you would expect, he had a huge game. The Time Lord, man, he was finally freed, finally was able to start, played big minutes as well. He played 27 minutes, but that was with him getting pulled. I believe 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he got pulled because of the blowout. So he was on pace to play over 30 minutes, had the game stay close. He was really productive, just went out there and stuffed the stat sheet like he always does. 7 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 blocks, 2 steals. The dude just does everything. He can score, he can rebound, he can get assists, he can get those defensive stats. At 6,600, assuming Robert Williams starts again, he's probably going to play close to 30 minutes. I still love Robert Williams today. This is going to be a guy that, now that he's their starting center, at least, even till Thompson comes back, I assume Williams is still going to be the starting center. We're going to see his price continue to rise because this is a guy that can be insanely productive when he's on the floor. And if he's going to be playing anywhere close to 30 minutes a night now, he's going to be, 7,500, 8K player moving forward. We're still getting a nice discount on Robert Williams, so he is another top play for me from Boston. Love him on DK, love him on Yahoo as well. He's a guy that I'm for sure going to be going right back to because we do already know that Tristan Thompson is going to remain out for this game, and obviously, as we stated earlier, Daniel Tice is no longer on the team. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking to from Boston. If Kemba sits, there's a lot to like here. Tatum, Brown, Smart, I'm all going to have interest in, and Robert Williams I think is a great play once again. But looking on the OKC side, there isn't as much that I really like on OKC. SGA has already been ruled out for this game, but I don't know if that really affects too much because a lot of these guys have been priced up to reflect that. Like Theo Maledon's 5K. You could go to him at 5K, but like even when SGA's been out, like Maledon just hasn't really shown a ton of upside. Ty Jerome's been the guy that has more upside. So honestly, I think I'd rather play Jerome over Theo Maledon if I had to pick one of the two. I think Lou Dort does benefit with SGA out. He's been priced up to 5,500. You could still go to him though. I still don't really consider him a top option though. Like there really isn't much I like from OKC today. All these guys just feel priced appropriately, if not a little bit too expensive. Maybe Al Horford you could go to, but like they just don't play him big minutes. Like he's not going to play more than 25, 26 minutes, even if it's a close game. Like the Thunder have no interest in winning games right now. They're going to play all their bench guys. They're going to give everyone like 25 minutes. I mean, this team, they're just going to spread out the minutes. Nobody's going to play massive minutes. I don't really see much from OKC that I like at all. I mean, this is a team I'm just probably going to be avoiding as a whole. So moving on to the next game, the Sixers and the Clippers. On the Sixers, we know Joel Embiid's going to remain out. Obviously, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris are the two guys that really going to benefit with Embiid off the floor and have been recently. I think both are in play for tournaments. I don't really consider Simmons or Harris like top options or core plays for me today. Tougher matchup against the Clippers, but those are definitely guys you could look to in GPPs. They should be pretty low owned on a bigger slate like this. Dwight Howard had a lot of interest in him last slate. Super annoying that he got ejected 6 minutes into the game against the Lakers, even though Tony Bradley was out last game. Tony Bradley is no longer on the team. Howard still came off the bench, but I would assume that he would have played pretty big minutes had he not got ejected. I think Howard probably gets close to 30 minutes today, whether he starts or comes off the bench. He didn't start last game, so I assume they're going to keep the same starting lineup and they're going to bring Howard off the bench again. Assuming he can not get ejected here, he can stay on the floor. I think we do get 25 to 30 minutes from Dwight Howard just because Joel Embiid remains out. Tony Bradley is no longer on the team. Vincent Poirier is no longer on the team. Like they just don't really have any other big men. I mean, they have Mike Scott, but like Mike Scott's not going to play a ton of minutes. He did play 28 last game, but I think he benefited from Howard getting ejected. They have Paul Reed, but like he played 9 minutes. I mean, I expect 25 to 30 minutes from Dwight Howard just because he's their only big men left. And at 5,600, he is definitely someone I'm going to be looking to today. I would say that he is my favorite play from the Sixers. But obviously Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris are in play. I don't see too much else, though, I like from this Philly team. Danny Green had a big game last game, but I'm not going to chase that. Like, I just don't play Danny Green. He's not someone I really ever want to roster and probably not going to go there today. So I would say top play from the Sixers, going to be Dwight Howard for me. Simmons and Harris, though, are also viable. On the Clippers side, though, we got to watch the status of Kawhi Leonard. This is a huge injury. Obviously, this impacts a ton. If Kawhi plays, I don't see too much I really like on the Sixers or on the Clippers today outside of Ivica Zubac. I think Zubac is someone I'm going to be looking to regardless of if Kawhi plays or not. Like Zubac just continues to go out there and produce. With Ibaka out, he's going to start, play around 30 minutes. Should be very productive when he's on the floor. He scored at least 30 Draftkings points in 3 straight games. Even like in a blowout against San Antonio, he still had 30 DK points. He's been affordable on Yahoo these last few slates. Still affordable, $20. I don't mind Zubac here because we know Ibaka remains out. If Kawhi plays, though, I don't see too much I like on the Clippers outside of Zubac. If Kawhi is out, though, we know who benefits. We saw that last game. Paul George, Reggie Jackson. Marcus Morris was questionable last game. He did not play. If he were to play today and Kawhi were to sit, Morris would definitely benefit with Kawhi off the floor, and he would be viable. But I would say PG, Reggie Jackson are the two guys I really like. Terrence Mann as well, I think, is going to be a really good value play if Kawhi sits again. He started in place of Kawhi, played 32 minutes, had 33 DK points. So we just got to wait and see here. If Kawhi plays, I don't like too much from the Clippers outside of Zubac. If Kawhi's out, Reggie Jackson, Paul George, Terrence Mann, love all three of those guys. All three of those guys will be great plays today. Will be guys I'd definitely be looking to, in all formats. And on Yahoo, Reggie Jackson was minimum salary last slate. He's only $12 today. He'd be a great play if Kawhi were to sit. PG is still affordable, $37. I like him a lot. Terrence Mann, $11. I would like him a lot. So, yeah, just got to wait and see what happens with Kawhi here. It's a late night game, which sucks because I don't know if we're going to get the news before lock, but hopefully we do and we can get some update on Kawhi. But last game on the night, the Cavs and the Kings. So, on the Cavs today, I don't see too much I really like here. Worth noting that Colin Sexton was out Friday. He did not play Friday. I assume Sexton will be back today, but just keep an eye on that. If he remains out, that benefits Larry Nance, that benefits Darius Garland. At their price points, I don't really consider either guy top plays today, but would definitely be viable. Those would be the two guys I would look to from Cleveland. If Sexton plays, though, I really don't like much from the Cavs at all. I don't, even in a good matchup against Sacramento, I don't think this is a Cavs team I'm really going to have much exposure to today. There's just other spots I prefer on the slate. We've already mentioned so many guys, so don't really like too much from Cleveland. On the Sacramento side, I think De'Aaron Fox, in tournaments is someone you could definitely look to. Had a huge game last game against Golden State. 63 DK points in 36 minutes, had 44 real-life points. Like, Fox has just been playing, insanely well lately, putting up huge game after huge game. At 9K, he is definitely viable. I think I prefer John Wall for the savings, but Fox is clearly a top point guard option, if you can find a way to fit him in. I don't know if I really like too much, though, on the Kings outside of De'Aaron Fox. They did make some trades. They got DeLon Wright. They got Terrence Davis. It's to be determined if those guys are going to play today. Right now we don't really have an update on them. If DeLon Wright were to play, I think that probably just, I don't know if that really impacts too much. I still expect big minutes for Fox. I still expect big minutes for Halliburton, but Wright would probably get a good amount of run off the bench if he plays. But yeah, I think on this Sacramento team, it's really just Fox for me. I don't like too much outside of Fox. Maybe Halliburton, but there's other guards I prefer. Like, I'd rather have NAW for almost $1,000 cheaper than Halliburton. So I think Fox is the top play from Sacramento. Not too much else. So yeah, that does it for all 9 games today, guys. I think we broke everything down. Talked about each team tonight. Went through each game. So hope you guys did enjoy this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below before you do get out of here. Hit that subscribe button as well. Be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do go live. Sadly, I won't be able to live stream this afternoon, but hopefully I will be live on Sunday. May go live for Sunday slate. I'll still have a video up for Sunday, though, regardless. But yeah, good luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks, as always, for your support. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.